Hello, I'm Cassandra from Brazil. Please like and subscribe because MSA will give $1,000 to one lucky person in the coming 7 days. I was born with curly hair, and growing up, everyone always had something lovely to say about it. She's such a doll with those blonde curls and big blue eyes. A doll? She looks exactly like her dad. How can a girl with manly features look like a doll? She's so unlucky she doesn't look like me. Yeah, everyone thought I was adorable, except my mom. Her hair was as straight as a pencil, and mine just seemed to annoy her. Well, everything about me seemed to annoy her. She just spent her days watching TV or talking for hours to her friends, mostly ignoring me. But I didn't really mind. I had loads of imaginary friends. Thankfully, Dad was nothing like her. We were rich, and he was the owner of a local sugarcane factory. And as a kid, I used to think he must be so sweet because he made sugar. In the evening, when he'd come back home, I'd drop everything and go running into his arms, and he would always have a surprise for me in his bag. Did you eat all your vegetables today, honey? Of course I did, Daddy. But Mom would find a way to ruin the moment. Will you stop giving her sweets? Do you want her to get chubby and have all her teeth fall out? But Dad just ignored her, and so did I. I think she was just mad that Dad loved me more than he loved her. One day, when I went with my mom to the nearby grocery store, we bumped into our neighbor and her daughter Karen, who was around my age. She was such a brat. Every time we met, she'd pull weird faces at me behind our mom's backs. But as we were leaving, she'd turn to Mom and smile at her like an angel.
Bye, Auntie. It was so nice to see you.
Aw, your daughter is the sweetest, and I love her beautiful straight hair. I wish I had a daughter like her.
But, Mommy, you have me, and I'm also pretty. Daddy says so.
Karen is just a lovely child. Unfortunately, Karen and I were in the same school, and because she was jealous that she wasn't the prettiest girl in class, she was always trying to mess with me. Once in 5th grade, we were at a farm for a school outing, and when the teacher wasn't looking, Karen tripped me up. I went flying face forward into a pile of cow dung.
Now you look like one of the farm animals.
Everyone started laughing, and the teacher helped me get cleaned up. But of course, I had to do something to get back at Karen. As the farmer was telling us about his prized pigs, I saw Karen leaning over the fence of the pigsty. I walked up to her quietly with a feather and tickled the back of her leg, and she suddenly laughed out loud and toppled over the fence, straight into the sty. Look, everyone, there's a new piggy called Karen. Everyone roared with laughter as Karen rose furiously, covered from head to toe in mud. She glared at me and screamed, but she couldn't prove I'd done anything. A few weeks later, it was time for our school concert, and the girls in our class had to perform a dance. The teacher put Karen and I in the front row since we knew the moves better than the rest. On the night of the concert, the performance was going really well, but suddenly Karen bumped really hard into me and knocked me right off the stage. The music stopped as everyone turned to stare at me. I jumped back onto the stage and pushed Karen furiously. We broke into a huge fight as the teachers separated us, and since everyone saw me attack her, I was banned from the performance. I saw my mom in the audience shaking her head in disappointment, and I just ran off the stage. I bumped straight into my dad in the hallway outside, and he hugged me as I cried angry tears. It wasn't my fault, Dad. She pushed me first. I know, I saw that. I'll have a talk with her parents and the principal. Don't you worry. Just then, my mom appeared from behind, fuming. You will do no such thing. Our daughter was wrong. Everyone saw her push Karen on stage. But Mom, I fell down first because she pushed. Stop making up stories and take some responsibility for your actions. Don't talk to her like that. She's just a child. And you spoil her too much. Some days I really hated my mom. She was a negative ball that rolled around my life. And if it wasn't for my dad, I don't know where I'd be. When it was time for high school, I was really hopeful that I'd never see Karen again. But my bubble of hope burst on the very first day when someone pushed me from behind and said, "I can't believe you're in my school, loser." Gosh, I'm so tired of you, Karen. You've been on my case ever since you moved next to my house. What do you want from me? Nothing. I just enjoy picking on you. I couldn't take it any longer, so I pushed her so hard that she went flying into the dustbin. Everyone around laughed, and I kind of became popular because of that incident. Karen kept her distance after that, and luckily we didn't have any classes together, except drama club. The school was soon arranging the Aladdin musical, and I was really eager to get the lead role of Jasmine. I prepared for the audition, But when I stepped up in front of the judges, I suddenly froze and forgot all my dialogues. So Karen got the role of Jasmine, and I got cast as Jasmine's pet tiger. Come here, pussycat, and kneel before your queen. Oh, please, Karen, it's just a stupid play. One day during rehearsal, I was waiting for my part in the play when I ended up falling asleep backstage. And when I woke up, it was really late. The doors were already locked, and when I yelled, my voice just echoed back. Great. It seemed like I was stuck here till my parents realized I was missing. And then I decided to fool around on stage. I put on Jasmine's costume and started performing alone and singing. I sang so well, I even surprised myself. I bowed in front of a pretend audience, and my heart almost jumped out of my throat when someone actually clapped. Who's there? Suddenly, a tall, cute boy rose from a dark corner and stepped forward. Hi there, I'm Sean. What are you doing here? I sometimes stay behind to help my dad clean up after everyone goes home. He's the janitor here. By the way, I loved your performance. Are you the lead in the show?
No, I'm not. I was just fooling around.
But you were so good, Cassandra. I even recorded you on my phone.
Oh, please delete that.
Wait a second, you know my name? Yeah, everyone does. You're famous for pushing that Karen into the dustbin. I know. Sean had the keys for the door, and when he walked me out, it was already getting dark. He offered to walk me back home, and as soon as I got there, Dad hugged me tight. Sweetie, we were getting so worried about you. You wouldn't even pick up your phone.
Sorry, Dad. I just got late with rehearsals and my phone died.
Who was that boy who came home with you? You have a boyfriend now?
No, Mom. He's the janitor's son.
The janitor's son is your boyfriend? I knew you'd always make poor choices. If I see you with that boy again, you will do what, Mom? And what's wrong with being the janitor's son? He's no different than you or me. You see how she talks to me? This is all your fault. You spoiled her too much. No, I love her too much. Now, please be quiet. You're giving me a headache. Before I fell asleep that night, Sean popped up in my mind, and I couldn't wait to see him again. At school the next day, I looked around for him, but I didn't find him anywhere, so I decided to try the auditorium. When I got there, I spotted him at the piano, playing beautifully. Wow, that was lovely. Hey, I thought I wouldn't see you again. Why not? We're in the same school. I sat next to him, and we talked and enjoyed each other's company. Then he asked me to sing for him as he played the piano. Just as the song ended, he turned to me with a smile, and his face was just inches away from mine. But suddenly, someone burst into the auditorium and started taking pictures of us. It was freaking Karen.
This is going to go viral. Cassandra dating the janitor's son.
Do what you want, Karen. I don't care what people think. Karen posted the pictures on Instagram and sent them to my mother, too. And she went ballistic. You better stop seeing this boy or I will move out of the house. It'll be a relief for me and Dad if you leave. It's not like you make us happy, Cassandra. That's not a nice thing to say to your mom.
But it's true, Dad. Mom is never happy about anything.
Mom stormed off angrily while Dad stayed and spoke to me about Sean. This time he sided with Mom and told me that I was too young to have boyfriends.
But Dad, he is not my boyfriend. He's just a good friend.
I think it's best you stay away from him, Cassandra. Dad hardly ever asked me to do anything, so when he politely requested that, I felt I had to do it. I avoided Sean all day in school, but when I was walking back home, he caught up with me. Please, Cassandra, wait. I know you don't want to talk to me or be seen with me in school.
It's not that, Sean. I think my parents don't approve. I'm sorry.
Don't be. I understand that, and I won't bother you again. That's all I wanted to say.
I felt bad as I watched him walk away, and I didn't want to disappoint Dad either. And after a few days, I noticed Sean had stopped coming to school. I asked the school administration about him, and they told me his dad had resigned and withdrawn Sean from the school. They had no more details of their whereabouts. Sean had left, and I hadn't even said goodbye. Even a year later, I thought of him often. And then one day, when I went to school, I saw everyone glued to their phones. And when they saw me, they came running. Hey, Cassandra, looks like your janitor boyfriend is famous now. Look, he even wrote a song for you.
She showed me her phone, and I was shocked. Sean was on YouTube dedicating his song to me. This one's for you, Cassandra. Your head of gold and your eyes so blue. The voice of an angel, believe me, it's true. From the moment we met, I already knew you were meant for me, and I'll come back for you. I was lost for words. His song melted my heart. And just then, Karen approached me.
Aw, the janitor boy wrote you a song. Why don't you go find him and live happily ever after in a gutter?
You're just a jealous witch. Why don't you go find yourself a boyfriend and stay away from me? Oh, I know why. Because no guy wants to date a mean girl like you.
I'm sure your mom won't be too pleased about this song your lover boy wrote for you.
For the love of God, go get a life, Karen. When I got home, Karen was already with my mom, playing the innocent angel and showing Mom the song. Cassandra, what's this I hear about you wanting to run after the janitor boy? Oh, is that what she told you? Don't give me that attitude. I'm your mother. If you're going to believe this witch who's bullied your daughter all her life, then I have no mother. Before Mom could yell at me, the phone suddenly rang, and her expression changed completely. She put down the receiver and said in a shaky voice, "Come, we have to go. Your dad's in the hospital." My heart almost stopped when I heard those words. My dad was my rock. If anything happened to him, I wouldn't know what to do. When we got to the hospital, the doctor told us that Dad had a small heart attack and that he needed to stay in the hospital for a few weeks. The drive home with Mom was very quiet. Then suddenly she spoke. "How about we eat out tonight?" "Without Dad? I don't feel like it." "Okay, we'll just go home then." The next day, I got up and went to school without saying anything to Mom. I just couldn't stop feeling angry at her, like I wanted to blame her for everything that was going wrong in my life. At lunch, I realized I'd forgotten to bring any lunch money because Dad always gave it to me. As I sat alone in the cafeteria watching the latest MSA episode on my phone, Karen suddenly came along with her friends.
Aw, watching MSA, babe?
Yeah, everyone loves MSA.
But you still look sad.
Aw, it looks like Cassandra's daddy didn't give her lunch money today. Get away from me, Karen. I'm not in the mood for you.
Here, you can have some of my food.
She suddenly smacked her plate of pasta on my shirt, and before I could hit her, Mom walked into the cafeteria. She'd seen what Karen did, and she was so angry that she complained to the principal, and Karen got detention for a month. "Why are you here, Mom? Is Dad okay?" "Yes, he is doing just fine. I just came to give you your lunch money." I could sense that she was trying to connect with me, so I decided to give her a chance. One day at dinner, we were eating silently when suddenly Mom started to cry. I'd never seen her shed a tear before. "What's wrong, Mom?" "Oh, I was just thinking about your dad and how hard things would be without him. I know I'm sometimes difficult with him and also with you, but it doesn't mean I don't love you both very much. You know that, right?" It was the first time I'd ever heard her say that she loved me. I took a moment to myself, then leaned forward and took her hand. "Yeah, I know, Mom, and I'm right here with you." Dad came home after some weeks, but he still needed to rest, so Mom started to go to his factory instead to oversee things. And I was amazed at how good she was at it. That's when I found out that she used to work there before she had me. I decided one day that I'd do something nice for Mom since she was working so hard. I cooked dinner and had the table all laid out by the time she got home, and she nearly cried when she saw it. "Oh, my darling, thank you so much for being the best daughter in the world." I hugged Mom, and Dad joined in too. We were finally one small happy family. After a few months, it was prom night, and I didn't have a date. After Sean's song went viral, everyone assumed I was still his girlfriend, so no one bothered asking me out. It wasn't true, though. Sean had never even gotten in touch with me. He was probably off traveling the world and getting famous. I was planning to miss prom, but my parents wouldn't hear of it. Mom helped me pick out a dress, and then Dad took pictures of me as I left the house. "Remember, come back before the clock strikes 12 or else you'll turn into a pumpkin." The prom was fine, until they started playing Sean's song. Jeez, why did they have to play this? I was leaving the hall when suddenly Karen bumped into me with her date.
Oh, what a shame. Someone seems so lonely.
Seriously, Karen, grow up. I don't need a boy to have a good time at my prom. Are you sure? My heart skipped a beat, and I turned around to see Sean. He was wearing a suit, and he looked even better than I remembered. "May I have this dance?" I took his hand, and we danced the night away, gazing into each other's eyes. I